Well, happy solstice, everybody. This is Josh here, and I wanted to read you a quick article that I was checking out here. It's the roots of Christmas go back deep. I think a lot of Christians argue that it's a Christian holiday, and I have to disagree. But this article kind of explains it better than I could. It's called "The Roots of Christmas: From Sun Worship to Sun Worship." That's S-U-N to S-O-N. Okay. For as long as people have shivered in the winter, they've celebrated the beginning of its end. For ancient people of Europe, midwinter was known as the Yuletide, meaning the turning of the sun. Imagine you're living in the cold of northern Europe before the birth of Christ. Your gods are the mysterious forces of nature: the sun, rain, and wind. In summer, it's warm, plants grow, and food is plentiful. Then it gets cold and dark, and the earth becomes frozen and bleak. Just when everything looks darkest, around December 21st, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, what do? You throw a party. And, slowly but surely, the cycle turns. Your sun god, who'd been weak and sick, is now on the mend. Spring is coming, and once again life is returning to your world. For the prehistoric people of Europe, late December, though dreary and dark, was the perfect time to celebrate. Why? Because they had fresh meat and good grog to celebrate with. In December, villagers often slaughtered the cattle they couldn't afford to feed through the winter, so this was the only time of the year when many of them had fresh meat. Also, wine and beer made earlier in the year had finally fermented and were ready to drink. Time to party. The pagan Romans conquered the pagan Celtic people around 50 BC. The Romans called their solstice Festivus Saturnalia, and it was marked by the feasting and good-natured goofiness. Then, as Christianity slowly spread through Rome, becoming the empire's chief religion by the 4th century AD, the midwinter celebration got a new twist. In the first few centuries of Christianity, Easter was the primary holiday. Jesus' birthday wasn't even celebrated. The Bible doesn't say exactly when Jesus was born, and what it does say, that shepherds were herding their flocks, suggests spring rather than winter. But in the year 350, Pope Julius I decided to make the birth of Jesus a holiday, choosing December 25th. Politically, it was a clever choice, because the young religion, legal for less than a century, could then adopt and absorb the traditions of the immensely popular Saturnalia. The fun-loving spirit of the pagan festival dovetailed nicely with the joyous welcome given to the Christ child. By the mid-5th century, the Feast of the Nativity, as Christmas was first called, was celebrated from Egypt to England. By the Middle Ages, Christianity had largely replaced pagan religions, but the hedonistic partying of pre-Christian religions was inextricably woven into the Christian celebrations. On Christmas, believers attended church, and then got wild and crazy. Though church leaders would have preferred to celebrate with more reverence than revelry, pagan customs survived. People still sang in roving bands, shared bowls of wassail, or spiced wine, performed farcical plays, and exchanged gifts at New Year. Most medieval lords provided a Christmas feast for their tenants and made the 12 days of Christmas a holiday from work. So, for many people, Christmas was as much about feeding the body as feeding the soul. From these festive rituals, long celebrated around the winter Christian holidays, many sacred observances emerged that are still beloved by the faithful as integral parts of their Christmas celebrations. So that's nothing. That's the end of the article there. That's nothing new to me at all. I already knew that. I mean, I've been interested in this stuff for a long time, but I just thought I wanted to make kind of a one for the novices, folks who maybe have heard of this but don't realize it or don't understand how pagan religions really influenced Christianity. Moreover, I guess what it was that the pagans were, or heathens, or however you want to call it, it's kind of foolish because heathens were just people from an area. It's not a type of person, it's a location. And the pagans were as well. And the Christians were forced to adopt the pagan rituals into their own in order to flourish, because otherwise they would have to create brand new holidays or holy days for the people. And it's really hard for a religion to gain a foothold, especially in those times, and I guess just as much today. And Christianity tried desperately, and it's unfortunate that it had to take most of its traditions from pagan beliefs, that it couldn't create its own, in which there would be nothing wrong with that if Christians understood the root of these holidays, but they simply refuse to admit it, and don't understand that the Easter is nothing more than the spring equinox. It's the same thing. These aren't days based on people. These are days based on events, celestial events, earth events, and I guess that's that. People can look as much as they want. Be careful, though. There's a lot of folks out there who claim that they have all the connections, and that they've proven that the sun is really sun, and that Christ didn't exist, and that it was this and that, and everybody has their own idea of what it means. The details of it are really irrelevant. The point being that religion is rooted in pagan beliefs and rooted in ancient Egyptian lore, and that's just the way it is. Namaste.